We will rally here today on the state capitol steps, and then we will march on the federal courthouse a few blocks away. We begin today with the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, a cheerful and a tireless fighter for democracy, Mike McCabe.
Thank you. You sound great. You look great. Thank you for coming. It is fitting that we stand out here in the cold, because this is where the United States Supreme Court has left us. At a time of corporate power and excess and irresponsibility not seen in our land since the Gilded Age, since the day of the robber barons, 5 men, 5 blindly ideological and shamelessly hypocritical and thoroughly owned men have decided that corporations do not have enough influence over our lives and our democracy, and they've said that corporations need to be allowed to spend even more freely on our elections. That radical interpretation of the First Amendment must not and will not be allowed to stand. This ruling must not and will not be allowed to stand. Now, apologists for this assault on our democracy say that the court's majority struck a blow for free speech. The only thing this court did for free speech was change the spelling. They took out the R. It took just a moment for you all to do that spelling, didn't it? Those celebrating this decision say corporations deserve a voice in the political arena. Corporations didn't need this court to give them a voice in the political arena. Corporations already had a voice, and a dominant one at that. You don't have to look any further than the national debate on health care or the last few state Supreme Court elections right here in Wisconsin for evidence of that. They didn't need the court to give them a voice. The court gave them a megaphone. And that is something that we have to fight tooth and nail against. Corporations also did not need these 5 men to allow them to lay claim to the same citizens that we all enjoy as living, breathing, flesh and blood citizens. That was taken care of way back in 1886. And as a matter of fact, this idea that corporations are people didn't come from an act of Congress. It didn't come from a ruling of the U.S. Supreme Court. It came from this guy right here. Bancroft Davis. Bancroft Davis happened to be the former president of a railroad company. Went on to become the court reporter for the United States Supreme Court. In a case involving taxation of railroad companies, Bancroft Davis added a note to the court's ruling saying that it was the court's opinion that corporations have rights as citizens under the 14th Amendment. So like I said, the corporations didn't need this court to allow them to lay claim to the rights that we all enjoy as citizens. Bancroft Davis took care of that. What the corporations needed this court to do was make them a master race. And what this court then did is made us all, or tried to make us all, second-class citizens. And that's what we gather here in protest of. We will not be second-class citizens. Ain't nobody gonna make us second-class citizens. In effect, what this court did is try to raise a new flag over America. And I happen to bring along a facsimile of that flag. This is what they would like our flag to look like.
No.
We will not allow this court to raise this flag and fly this flag over our country. We are going to fight this tooth and nail for as long as it takes. And all I can say is that this radical reinterpretation of the First Amendment will not stand. This ruling will not stand. Now, if those who represent us in Washington had an ounce of nerve, there would already be articles of impeachment pending against Chief Justice Roberts for lying to Congress. But if we didn't know this before, we know it now. We cannot rely on their nerve. We rely on their nerve at our peril. It is up to us. It is up to us to make sure that there is a 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution overruling this court. It's up to us to pester and prod Congress to pass the Fair Elections Now Act and create publicly financed elections at the federal level. And it's up to us to get the attention of the people in this building, too. We recently won impartial justice, publicly financed state Supreme Court elections. We need to get their attention and make sure that that law is expanded to all state elections. Now, some of these steps, like amending the Constitution, could take years. Some will take months. But there are things that we can do in the days and weeks to come that can make the 2010 elections better than they will otherwise be. Right here and right now, we can push our legislature to pass Senate Bill 43 and its companion Assembly Bill 63. That legislation strikes a blow directly at the heart of the advertocracy that this court is trying to create. It closes the biggest single loophole in Wisconsin's campaign finance laws. It pulls the cloak off the special interests that are contaminating our elections, and it makes them stand behind their ads. And we need to demand that they get their work done and give us that reform in the weeks to come. So let me just close by saying that for the moment we stand outside in the cold. We were put here by 5 men who are undeniably powerful, but just as undeniably corrupt. We speak out in opposition to the warped, bastardized version of democracy that they want to give us, and in a few moments we will be marching to the federal courthouse, but we need, after that, to march into that building and deliver a powerful message. Money is not speech. Corporations are not people. Public offices are not commodities. Elections are not marketplaces where those offices are bought and sold. Ain't nobody gonna make us second-class citizens. Not here, not now, not nobody, not know-how. Thank you.
This was a bad decision. It doesn't take a lawyer to understand that corporations are not people. Now, I tend to be a little bit frustrated with this because I spent a fair amount of my time prosecuting folks. And when we try to prosecute corporations, what was the first thing they'd say? They'd say, you can't because we're not people. Always their argument. But oh my God, when they want to take the cacophony they've created by their noise and deny citizens a voice by drowning them out, then all of a sudden they have the rights that are equal, if not greater, to every citizen of this United States. That's wrong. Now, you know, our founding fathers thought that our Supreme Court ought to be the place where all of the partisan stuff goes by the by. It ought to be the place where a bunch of people with lifetime appointments who weren't beholden to voters, who weren't beholden to a bunch of political parties, would be able to kind of come down from above. There are reasons that building's built like it is out there. There are reasons it's structured as it is, and it's because they are supposed to be the nonpartisan people, making decisions based on the interests of the people of this country and based on the institutions of preserving our democracy.